hello, everybody who is watching. It's me, Zodiac, streaming on a Tuesday, which is rare and not what I usually do. I was thinking we should give things a try. Maybe see how streaming 3 days a week work. With that being said, they recently put Wario Land 4 on the Nintendo Switch Virtual Console sort of thingy that it does. And I like Wario Land 4 as much as the next person. So I figured, why not play this game that I love so much? I do love this music. The music's funky as hell. Oh, oops, I just realized that I forgot to put up the actual game window. That's what happens when you do things not on the day that you're supposed to do them. So, let's actually bring the game up, why don't we? There we are. There's Wario Land 4 as I remember it. As you can see, Game Boy Advance. But we're playing on the Switch today. I love this music. But yes, welcome to Wario Land 4. Wario Land 4 is... Wario Land 4, as you know, well-beloved Game Boy Advance game featuring everybody's favorite bad guy, Wario. Various weird transformations and stuff happen in it. Lots of treasure. Inspired a lot of indie games. Indie games that I don't particularly like, personally. But I like Wario Land 4. So let's get to playing, why don't we? Wario, Mario's arch-rival, is in search of the Golden Pyramid. But before he can collect the treasure that lies within, Wario must prove his strength. This special video game is more than just one story about Wario and his search for the treasure hidden deep within the Golden Pyramid. You get to decide what happens every time you play this video game. Start by playing through the introduction. The introduction begins the story and introduces you to Wario. The next screen, you'll see a question and some choices, and you'll have the chance to make your first choice. Once you've made your choice, turn to the screen shown under your choice to continue the story. As you play through the game, you'll make other choices until you reach one of the game's endings. That's the best part. There are several endings to this video game. Some are good, but some of them are bad. Every time you play it, you can make a different set of choices and play a brand new story. One more thing before you turn on that system. The book is the Game Boy Advance game, Wario Land 4, so play carefully. You might find some clues that will lead to secrets in your real life. Good luck, and have fun adventuring with Wario. So, introduction time. As you all know, I'm something of a legend around here. If there's treasure involved, I'm the guy who's gonna sniff it out, dig it up, and take it home. Added to my natural good looks, that makes me the perfect specimen. Since you are obviously impressed with my abilities, and who wouldn't be, let me tell you about the time I found the treasure of the Golden Pyramid. One day, while doing a little cleaning, I read a newspaper article that knocked me off my couch. I nearly poked my brain. The ruins of an ancient pyramid had been discovered, and it was rumored that the Princess Sokora, who once ruled this area, had been put into a cursed sleep inside the pyramid of the Golden Diva. Now, I'm twice as smart as the average guy. Immediately my thoughts went to all the treasure that had been tucked away inside that pyramid. I dropped what I was doing, hopped in my Wario car, and headed for the ruins. "That treasure is as good as mine," I said as I sped down the road. Let's see, it's 25. Boop, boop. The ruins. Also, I tried to make it so that each page was individual, but this was very difficult because this is my own actual copy of the video game Wario Land 4, which I said I was playing on the Switch, but look, I can afford to fib a little bit. This is my actual copy on the Game Boy Advance. I've hooked it up to the captured card. Since I drive the hottest car on the planet, it didn't take me long to reach the ruins. It might have taken an average person hours, or even days, to get into the crumbling buildings. Since I'm better than everyone else at this sort of thing, I had no trouble finding my way inside. Well, alright, there was only one entrance, but hey, I was there and you weren't, so let's just move on. Using my superior brain, I discovered that there are 4 different passages I would have to conquer: Emerald, Ruby, Sapphire, and Topaz, before I would reach the Golden Pyramid. I was sure that there would be tons of treasure on each of the pathways, so it really didn't matter which one I picked first. I could smell the treasure waiting for me. I analyzed the situation professionally, by flipping a coin to decide which passage I would take. It was official. I tackled the Emerald Passage first. So let's actually get to there. Palm Tree Paradise. I entered the Emerald Passage, but all I saw was a locked door with a stupid frog in front of it. "Stupid frog," I said, "why don't you open the door for me?" It didn't respond, so I kicked it. Magic portal appeared above the frog's head. "That's more like it, froggy," I said as I jumped on its head to reach the portal. After spinning around in circles for a while, I appeared on a beach. I hate sand. It's rough and coarse and gets everywhere. But what I hate even more was that there was no treasure in sight. I ran down the beach, but all I could see were some stone blocks. One of them was blocking my way, so I ran as fast as I could and bashed it into tiny pieces. Hey, I'm pretty strong when I'm mad. Wait, what am I saying? I'm strong all the time! Anyway, as I walked along the beach, this weird-looking red creature tried to block my way. You can probably guess what I did. I knocked it off the path and kept going. I came to a place where the path was completely closed off by more of these stone blocks, so I started bashing them out of my way. Once I got past the stones, I saw a small wooden platform above me. The path continued on into the distance. What should Wario do? Jump to the platform or continue down the path? This is the part of the stream where the fact that no one watches me makes things very awkward. Hello, QWERTY. As you can see, we are playing Wario Land 4. I said it was on the Switch Virtual Console, but the truth is, this is my own GBA original hardware. So, we're now at our first actual choice of where to send Wario. We can either jump to the platform, or we could continue down the path. What are you feeling we should do? This is not a PDF. This is a Game Boy Advance game. In fact, I'll go back to the start so that we can take a quick look at that. There we go. See? Wario Land 4, the video game, for the Game Boy Advance. It says so right here on the screen. How to use this video game. Instructions on how to use the video game. And then, of course, our introduction from Wario, telling us how the story begins. Got us to here, and then to here. So, chat, which way are we going? Are we going to jump to the platform or continue down the path? Okay, platform. That is screen 51. Treasure! Jumping onto that wooden platform was a great idea. Behind the platform was a tunnel, and deep in the tunnel I found a huge gem. Whoa! I cried. Treasure! I was so happy I nearly fell out of the tunnel, but I managed to catch myself just in time. Once I'd finished admiring the stone, I dropped it into my pocket and climbed down to the ground. Brings us over to here. Palm Tree Paradise. I walked along the path, checking all of the bushes for treasure. I had no luck, but I did come across a little guy with a spear. Tried to run at him the first time, but that was a really bad idea. The spear was sharp! When he turned his back, BAM! I let him have it. But after I bashed the spear guy, I jumped over a stone block and came face to face with the treasure chest. I'm an expert at that sort of thing, so I popped the baby open in no time. Inside I found a stone and a note. The note told me that there were 3 more stones just like this in the area. Naturally, I set out to find them. A little farther down the path, I came to a doorway that was obstructed by stone blocks. Got rid of the blocks, but now I wasn't sure which way to go. Which way should Wario go? Through the doorway or down the path? Wahahaha, I'm a Wario. It's okay, it's no big deal. Well, the good news is, like Wario himself, we do have a coin we can flip. And by we do have a coin we can flip, I mean I have one probably over there, so I'm gonna go get it. Wario has returned with a toonie. So, the toonie has the queen on the one side and Polar Bear on the other. So, Polar Bear is through the doorway, Queen is down the path. Boing. Oop. Boing. Queen's head. So, down the path we go. As I walked along the path, I ran into more creatures. One of them tossed at me an apple. I munched on it. As I munched on it, I felt real full. I looked down and realized I had become quite big. I'm talking huge. I was so large I could hardly walk. That's some apple, I thought. At least no one was around to see my muscular body turn so large. That'll teach me to take an apple from a stranger. Things went well, though. In my new, heavier form, I walked around some ground that collapsed, dropping me into an underground pond full of jewels. I scooped them all up, but that time the apple's effect had worn off, so I could climb up a handy pipe to reach the path again. I kept exploring and found the other 3 jewels that the note had mentioned. When I put them together, they made one huge diamond. Now that's some serious loot. End of the line. After that bad experience, I avoided the apple-tossing creature and continued along the path. I came to an underground area where I found 2 hidden places with chests and jewels inside. What a find! If this is anything like the rest of these ruins, I'm gonna be rich, I thought. I was so happy that I was practically skipping down the path. Found myself above ground again. When I came to the end of the path, there was that stupid frog again. Behind him was a really strange creature. It looked like a floating bird's head with a key for a beak. I know a key when I see one, so I grabbed it. Then I jumped on the frog's head, just like I did at the start. Nothing happened, but then I heard this clock begin to tick. Stupid frog, I yelled. My guess was that jumping on him had opened the portal back to the ruins, and that this portal was somewhere nearby. I took off running, back to the way I came, going as fast as I could. I ran past the underground cave and the secret areas. I bashed all the creatures out of my way. Finally, I reached the place from which I had started. I saw the portal spinning in the air. Holding tightly to the key I had found, I dove through the portal and returned to the ruins. This is actually rough on the voice. 63. Wildflower Fields. Once I was back in the ruins, I stashed all of my loot and used the key thing. I found out later it was called the keyser on the next door. Inside there was another one of those frogs and a locked door. This time I knew what to do. I jumped on the frog's head to activate the portal and set off the search for the next key. And more treasure! Wahahaha! I landed in a field full of flowers. Yuck! I hate flowers. I'm one of those cartoon villains who says, "Have a rotten day," when I mean have a nice day, because that's how things work here in Wario Land. I landed in a field of flowers, birds singing, insects buzzings, and flowers as far as I could see. Some of the plants had grown so high that they formed ledges high above the ground. Finding a treasure here was going to be tough. I took off down the path, minding my own business, when a bee came out from nowhere and stung me. It hurt, but that wasn't the worst part. I swelled up so much that I floated off the ground. I floated higher and higher until I smacked my head on one of those plant ledges, which made me fall to the ground. It's a good thing I'm so tough, or I might have been seriously injured. Anyway, I look up and I could see more ledges high above me. It looked like I would be able to float up to them, but I'd have to let another bee sting me. Not exactly something I wanted to do. What should Wario do? Let a bee sting him, or continue down the path? Well, Wario, let's see. Boing. Polar Bear. We let the bee sting him. That is page 8. Sky high. I decided to try to reach the ledges. Come here, stupid bees, I said as I waited for one of them to sting me. It didn't waste much time. Soon I went back to the air again, floating higher and higher. I found the treasure and other goodies on the ledge above me, but I had to steer around those nasty thorns that would have popped me like a balloon. I went as high as I could as I grabbed gems from the ledges. I even found the treasure chest with a diamond inside. Once I reached the last ledge, I made sure that there weren't any more treasures. Then I climbed back down to the ground. I kept walking along the path, avoiding those pesky bees. Then I came across something strange. A dark stone block was under the path. Now all of you rookies out there wouldn't have noticed, but my treasure hunting instincts had told me that this was a treasure under that rock. I pushed, pulled, and tugged on that rock, but it wouldn't budge. Just as I was about to give up, one of those bees came along and stung me when I wasn't looking. I floated up in the air, high above the stone block. There was a vine ledge above me, and as soon as I hit it, pop! Down I went, falling fast. At the last second, I tucked into a ball and slammed right through the block like it wasn't even there. I fell into the cave below. There was these wriggly, ugly driller creatures down there, but I made it past them with no problem. As usual, I am Wario after all. I started scooping up the jewels and other goodies I found in the cave. While I was exploring, I found a pipe sticking out of the ceiling. Climb into the pipe or keep exploring? It says keep exploring. So we go over to here. Waterworks. I continued exploring the cave, and I came to an underground river. I'm a natural swimmer, so I dove in. Sure enough, there were gems in the water. I snatched them up as I swam along. Some pesky fish with spears tried to poke me, but I dodged them and kept going. Suddenly, a strong current swept me away. There was nothing I could do. The water carried me until it dumped me. Oh god, Wario voice is so difficult actually. Wow. I found one of the 4 gem fragments in the chest nearby. Then I dove back into the water to see what else I could find. This time, the current pushed me high into the stem of a huge plant. After I swam to the top of the water, I found an opening in the plant stem. I crawled out. Now I was on one of the ledges high above the ground. I shook myself dry and followed the ledge ahead. Ledges. As soon as I followed the plant ledge, I ran into these cute little caterpillars. Being the kind soul that I am, I bounced them right off the edge to get them out of my way. Wahahaha! There were more diamonds and gem fragments on the ledges high above the ground, but I had to let some of those bees sting me again so I could float up and reach them. Once I was back to normal, I got back to the ground. A funny-looking red creature was in my way, but before I could bash him, he threw an apple at me. Rude, I don't want to get appled. Boing. Wait, that was not a good flip. Boing. That was not a good flip. Boing. Head! So dodge the apple. Yes, Wario, avoid. Almost there. I dodged the apple because I had a feeling I was close to something good. Sure enough, I spotted one of those huge diamonds overhead. I climbed up the tallest plant stem. With some fancy moves, nothing you should try at home, kids. I was able to drop onto the diamond and then land back onto the ground. I'm so good, I'm so good, I amaze myself. I thought as I walked down the path. In the distance I could see the path where the path ended. I hurried along to get there. Caged Keezer. Just before I reached the end of the path, I spotted the Keezer I'd need to unlock the next door to the ruins. There was a problem though. The Keezer was stuck behind blocks that I couldn't move. I tried bashing the blocks, headbutting them, and I even looked for a way around them, but nothing worked. Scratching my head, I turned around and saw a frog near the end of the path. Now, I've had more than my share of brilliant ideas, so this one didn't surprise me. I jumped on Froggy's head and began the countdown for me to leave Flowerville. Just as I thought. As soon as I jumped onto the frog, the blocks disappeared and I was able to grab the key. I ran as fast as I could until I spotted the exit portal hanging in the air. I dove into it and returned to the ruins. More of the same. You don't say. I won't bore you with all the details, but there were 2 more areas, Mystic Lake and Monsoon Jungle. And I did what I do best. Bash creatures, find gems, open chests, and just generally be the hero that I am. Anyway, once I have made my way through the areas, I returned to the ruins. This time I faced a huge door. As I got closer to it, I could see something written on it. Cractus, I read. And the door opened. When I stepped inside, I saw a huge man-eating plant sleeping in a pot across the room. It was guarding the only way out. Cractus. I waited until I was sure the plant, Cractus, was asleep. Then I made my move. I slammed into the pot and woke it up. Very smart, Wario, very smart. Cractus jumped out of the pot and I was definitely not happy to see me. It started towards me, but before it arrived, I climbed a nearby ladder. Cractus flew high over my head and then came back down across the room. I was pretty sure that I couldn't get at its roots, so I did what came naturally. Landed on its head and gave it a real headache. Wahaha! Cactus cried in pain and began to drool. Gross. What a baby! I stayed away from it, which was sizzling as it hit the ground. Then I climbed the ladder again. After that, it was downhill for Cractus. I kept landing on his head and just kept coming back for more. He tried a few different attacks, but jumping off that ladder onto its head always worked. Finally, I landed on Cractus once more and then, boom, there was the end of that pesky plant. Now I could make my way to the exit, which led me back to the room where the 4 passages met. This time I chose the Ruby Passage and set off to find more treasure. The Ruby Passage. The Ruby Passage looked a lot like the Emerald Passage. There were no treasure in sight, but there was another frog. If everything worked the way it should, and of course it did, since I was involved, I figured there were 3 more passages to explore before I reached the jackpot. The Golden Pyramid. By now I knew what to do, so I jumped onto its head and to open the portal to the first area of the Ruby Passage. The Factory. After jumping through the portal, I landed in a bizarre factory. All the wheels, gears, and blocks in the place might have frightened someone else, but I've seen worse. Little spiked guys were crawling all over the place. I landed on one of them the wrong way, and it really hurt. I figured out how to get rid of them, though. When their heads came rolling my way, I jumped over them and smashed them. That'll teach them to mess with Wario! Wahahaha! Then I came to a room with a giant wheel. There were several platforms on it, so I hopped on and rode one up to the ledge high above the floor. There wasn't a lot to see there, but my nose for treasure paid off again. A short climb down the ladder and a quick smash to the spiked guy down there, and I found a chest with one of the gem fragments. I'd need to get out of here. Wow. Flat, Wario. Oh no. I climbed back up and kept exploring. As I walked along, minding my own business, a giant beastin dropped down from the ceiling, smashing me flat. A less perfect specimen would have been killed. But for me, this was a bonus. Now I could fit into tiny spaces, all the better to find more loot. Being flat definitely has its advantages. I'm able to float a bit longer in the air when I jump. I use this to reach another diamond. While I floated around toward the diamond, I noticed some cracked floors below, cracked floor stones below. I'd bet a power slam from here could break right through them, I thought. Should Wario power slam the cracked floor stones or climb down like a normal person? I wonder. Time to flip the coin. That is the head. No, that's the polar bear. So it's time to power slam the cracked floor stones. That's page 32. Inside the pipe, again. Even though, technically not the first time that... Technically this is the first time we did this. I power slammed through the cracked stones and found myself in another section of the factory. Up ahead I saw a pipe sticking out of the ground and decided to crawl inside. I had been inside this type of sort of pipe before, and it always paid off. Just like before, a little twerp was inside, snooping around with a magnifying glass. I guess he was some sort of junior archaeologist or something. It didn't matter to me. He helped me out. How? I threw him I threw him to activate a switch in there and help me reach another diamond. You don't think I would actually be nice to someone like that, do you? I'm not sure how he felt about it, but I was pretty happy. I left him stunned on the floor and I climbed out the pipe. Ah, Wario. You're such a stinker. More factory fun. I kept exploring, avoiding battles with the spiked creature and the little spear guys that kept annoying me. I'm not sure why there was treasure in there with all those little guys running around, but hey, I'm not about to complain, you know. I rode a big hamster wheel to reach another level, and I used a rock to hammer a path through to a different area. Inside I found a gem fragment and a diamond. But this time things started getting nasty. Several spear guys were shadowing me, and it was only a matter of time before they rushed me. I passed a water pit, and I thought about diving in for a second. I couldn't decide which was better, diving in and taking my chances, or hunting for the exit with the spear guys on my tail. Okay. Let's flip the coin and see where we go. This is a canonical Wario action. Hit the bear, so dive into the water. I decided to dive into the water to shake the spear guys off my trail. With my fine swimming form, I had no problem staying underwater for long periods of time. Not like that Mario individual. He has to go up for air. Sometimes, anyway. There were plenty of gems floating in the water, but just as many creatures out to get me. Spearfish were easy to avoid, but tough to kill, so I just left them alone as much as I could. I swam up to a ladder, landing and climbed out. I never even saw the piston that smashed me flat. Man, that hurts! Now that I was thin as a pancake, I was able to fit through a narrow passage and reach another gem fragment. Now it was time to find the frog and get out of here. Frog bouncing. I found the Keezer with no problem, but had a hard time finding Froggy. Turns out that he was the third of 3 deep pits. Of course, I tried the other 2 first, so I wasn't in a good mood when I finally found him. I pounced on his head to open the exit portal, then dashed back the way I had come to find the exit. "See ya, frog face!" I yelled as I ran away. I had to drop down deeper into the factory and get flattened again before I could reach the exit. On my way out, I picked up some extra loot. I dove into the portal and returned to the ruins. Toxic landfill. I used the Keezer to unlock the next door in the ruins, and it led to another frog. I opened the portal by jumping on the frog and then dove into the portal to line my pockets with more loot. You know, you can never be too rich or too handsome. I know, because I'm both, and I'm still not satisfied. Wahahaha! Oh, Wario. You're such a scamp, Wario. Anyway, I landed in a nasty landfill. I looked around and rubbed my hands together. No telling what goodies are stashed in here, I said, and set off to explore. One man's dunk. To get all the goods in the level, I had to smash through a lot of trash. It was stacked up in piles that I had to break through. I came to a monkey-like creature, and it tossed an apple at me. I was hungry, so I ate it. With the extra weight I was carrying, I was able to smash through a nearby stone block to reach the next area. As soon as I entered, an arrow came whizzing at me. Even with my super speed, the arrow hit me and caused me to swell up like a balloon. I floated up into the air. The good news is that there was a diamond up there, so I grabbed it before exiting into a pipe. This pipe was different. First, there wasn't a little guy inside, so I tried to solve the puzzle on my own. I could see a diamond, but I couldn't reach it. I saw some switches in there, as well as some rocks flying around. It took some serious thinking, but I figured it out. Figured out that I could throw the rocks at the first two switches, and carry on over to deactivate the next set. Then I could reach the diamond. I left the pipe and ran into another one of those apple-tossing creatures. Doubling it up let me smash through another stone block. This time I found a gem fragment and a diamond. Woohoo! No, that's a Wario thing! Wahaha! Wahaha! It pays to be a little fudgy sometimes. I saw a door ahead and I stepped inside. Oh, this is actually quite difficult. I ran into a hammer guy, and he pounded me into a spring, but then I bounced up and snagged the diamond that was high overhead. Bouncing up and down was really cool, but it didn't last long. I landed on a platform high above the floor. I could see a water pit below. I'll bet there's plenty of treasure in that pit, I said to myself. I decided to dive in and find out. 24. Into the pit. I found plenty of gems on the water, but had to get past a spearfish guarding them. When I finally got out of the water, a creature who had a huge drill bit on the front of it rushed me. Once I got behind it, I finished it off with a quick slam. Then I grabbed the gem on the other side. As I followed the path, I came to a huge stack of tires. Looked around for a way through to get through, but there wasn't one. Then I started knocking the tires out of the way. When they were almost gone, I could see that the tire stack had been hiding a small door. I cleared the rest of them away and entered the door. Behind the door. From here on out, the factory wasn't easy. Some monkey creature kept tossing fruit at me, and that made me get bigger. But then I could bash enemies into the ground and stomp them. The other half of the time, I spent bouncing around like a spring because I got hit with a mallet. I managed to pick up several diamonds, and the rest of the gem fragments, and tons of other goodies. About this time, I started getting nervous because I had no clue where the frog and my way out might be. I finally found the frog in the far corner of the factory. Once I jumped on it to activate the exit, I really got mad. I couldn't find the exit. When I searched, I had to dodge arrows, which would cause me to float up into the air. Finally, I saw the portal high overhead, and I let one of the arrows hit me, and I floated up into the portal to return to the ruins. 27. Back in the ruins. Once I was back in the ruins, I stashed my loot, as usual. Then I unlocked the next door. There were 2 more areas to explore. In one of them I was frozen solid like a snowball. It was a little too cold for my taste. In the other one I had to solve this really tough ball puzzle. It took me forever to make my way through it. Finally, I had completed all 4 areas and stood before a massive door with the words Cuckoo Condor written on it. No bird could stop me from getting my hard-earned treasure, so I pushed open the door and stepped inside. Kaku Condor. Now, I've faced some tough enemies in my day, but that goofy bird wasn't one of them. As soon as I entered its lair, it flew over my head and started dropping eggs onto me. I was never going to be able to hurt it while it was flying, so I stood under it and taunted it to come down. It came down all right. It nearly flattened me. I dodged and bashed it while I was on the ground. It took off quickly and started dropping eggs again. Egg goo coated the ground, but I noticed that some of the eggs didn't break open. I grabbed one of those eggs and tossed it at the bird. "Take that, bird brain!" I yelled. The egg hit it on top of its head, and the bird cried in pain. I'd done it, of course. The path was clear to the next passage. The Sapphire Passage. I stepped over the bird brain and headed deeper into the ruins. The music broke. That happens sometimes. The Sapphire Passage. The Sapphire Passage was next, so I jumped on the frog, triggered the portal, and dove in. Things weren't the same when I arrived, and I was in some kind of haunted village. Was I scared? I wasn't scared. Much. Anyway, a haunted village should be loaded with treasure, since not so many people go there, right? So I took off and started searching. Right away, things got ugly. I became a zombie. I staggered around feeling sorry for myself. Suddenly, I fell through the floor. Good thing I did, because there were gems under there. I climbed up the nearby pipe to reach the main floor again, and then went up to the nearby stairs. Saw a ghost on the stairs ahead. He was picking up coins, and I don't think he even saw me. I'll have to be sure not to drop any coins around him, I thought as I sneaked down the hall. I saw a diamond, but it was blocked and I couldn't reach it. I was trying to figure out how to get it when I saw a green switch. I hit it, and the diamond was mine. Wario's new friend. I couldn't have that ghost thief hanging around, so I ran and tried to bash him out of the room. No luck. He just kept at it. He followed me no matter what I did. Okay, coin. Let's see where we're going. Head. So we're just gonna leave the ghost alone. That's fine by me, honestly. My head's starting to hurt. Diamonds are my best friend. They're also the best friend of women, I've heard, but I'm Wario. Wahahaha. I couldn't shake the ghost, so I just kept exploring and tried to stay a step ahead of him. There were some loose rocks in one of the walls, so I ran and smashed the wall to break one of them out. Then I tossed the rock at the wall, which busted open a narrow passage for me to crawl through. On the other side, I found a diamond, and a gem fragment. Naturally, I snatched them up. So there I was, busy working my way through the area, when I saw a pipe sticking out of the ceiling. I climbed up inside and discovered a small room on the other side. There was a little geek, staring at the floor with his magnifying glass. I looked around and realized he could help me out. Picked him up and threw him at the brick wall. To break the wall of blocks in front of me so I could score the loot. I crawled out of the pipe and continued my treasure hunt. Wario is so rude to this guy. We've only met him twice canonically, and every time we've thrown him at stuff. 31. Give me that. The toad that I had to jump on in order to exit wasn't far away. I had to clear away some spiked creatures before I activated the portal. Lucky me, I found another diamond in the process. Jumped on the frog, but I couldn't reach the keys above me. Just then, a bat sunk its teeth into me. I became a vampire! flew up to the Keyser and grabbed it, then headed back the way I had come. Remember that pesky ghost who kept stealing things? Well, he wanted the Keyser and he kept taking it from me. I fought with him all the way to the exit portal because he kept running off with it. Stupid ghost! Of course, I finally got back and jumped through the portal to return to the ruins. Onward! Once I was back in the ruin, I decided to look around a bit before leaving. I found the gift shop, of all things. What kind of secret pyramid has a gift shop? Anyway, there were all sorts of gadgets and weapons inside, so I stocked up on a few. I had plenty of cash, right? When I finished shopping, I used the keys to open the next door, and then I jumped on the frog to go to the next area. The next area is over here. Arabian Night. God, I do love this music. This music is quite funky. It's gonna jam out a bit. Drink some water because it feels like I'm running my throat over a cheese grater. The things I do for this, I suppose. After I got over being dizzy from the portal, I found myself facing a door, and opened it and stepped into the ledge in the next room. There was a carpet on the ground. When I stepped on it, it took off. A magic carpet. Alright. I smiled as I took off into the air. From the air, I could see gems sparkling in the sky, so I used the carpet to collect all the jewels I could find. High in the air, I found the entrance to a pipe. I seriously considered leaving it alone, but I sensed something valuable could be inside. Well, magic coin, are we going in the pipe or not? No, we are not. Stay on the carpet. Check it out. I'm in the house like carpet. Night of the Living Wario. From the pipe, I flew the carpet to the right. I didn't see it coming, but before I could say, "Hey, what's that?" I had been turned into a zombie again. I stumbled off the carpet and onto a ledge, and smacked down the puny enemies that came my way like they weren't even there. Have I mentioned that being a zombie is cool? Not as cool as being me, but it's a close second. Wah. Anyway, I scooped up one of the gem fragments and a diamond, and bashed my way through a stone block to score another. There was another pipe in this area, and I decided to check it out. Return of the Nerd. It never fails, just when a party is going well. Someone shows up to ruin it all. That archaeologist geek was here again. I had tossed him all over the place in pretty much every area. He hadn't learned yet. He ran when he saw me coming this time, though. I came up with him, grabbed him by the neck, and tossed him through the wall. He made a nice hole for me to reach in and grab the diamond on the other side. "Thanks, buddy," I said, and climbed out of the pipe. It's good to make friends wherever you can use them. That's what I always say. Wario, Wario sure is something of a character, isn't he? No pain, no gain. Once I was done in the pipe, I came to a very strange area. I could see the keys that I would need to get out of here, but it was trapped in an area I couldn't reach. Using the magic carpet, I flew above everything to get a better look. There were some spiked creatures down below, and I was leaning over to check them out. Really? A bot? Die. Oh, that reminds me, actually. I got this happen.
Charlie_Luca just became Ray's friend. Thanks for the follow.
Thank you for the follow, Charlie Luca. I appreciate it. Once I was down in the pipe, I came to a very strange area right with that bit. Using the magic carpet, I flew above everything to get a look. There was some white creatures down below, and I was leaning over to check them out when I fell. Oopsies. I let out a manly scream. Which, I mean, knowing Wario, it's like, wow. But I noticed that when I fell, the spiked creature turned into a bees. Before I could recover from my fall, they had stung me. Up I floated, swollen as big as a basketball. When I hit the roof, I popped and fell down again. This time the bees had changed into a bats. They came after me and quickly turned me into a vampire. This was working out well, huh? I flew above the geyser and then fell onto it, snagging it as I fell. I was sore, but I had it. Now, onward and upwards. I do not believe Wario would say onward and upward. That feels like a lie. From here it was uphill, literally. I jumped onto the carpet and rode it into the next area. I picked up all the gems I could see. Eventually I came to a landing with a ladder leading down. I stopped and climbed down where I found my buddy, the Exit Frog, which I had started to call him. Because he lets me exit, you see. Wahaha! I bounced on his head and hurried up the ladder. Once I was on the carpet again, I took off flying high. I had my suspicions that the exit would be up here somewhere. As it turns out, I was right as usual. A pipe hung down from the ceiling, and I flew up into it. Walking out the door on the other side, there was the exit vortex. I made sure I had all my loot, then dove into the vortex to return to the ruins. 3 down, 1 to go. I made it back to the ruins, and I took a look at my stash. Not too bad at all, Wario, you treasure-hunting guru, I said to myself. Still, the mile looked small compared to what I knew waited in the Golden Pyramid. I used the keys to unlock the next area and kept going. There were 2 more areas in the Sapphire Passage. The first was a fiery cavern, where I spent most of my time as a human torch. Being on fire isn't all fun and games, you know. The next area was a creepy hotel. All I can remember about that one is that there were a lot of stairs. By the time I was done with these 2 areas, I was ready to face the final enemy. The massive door I faced had 1 word scrawled on it. Catbat. Yeah, what a goofy name, right? I snickered too, but as soon as I entered the door, I quit laughing in a hurry. Catbat. What can I say? This was one bizarre-looking creature. Of course, I only caught glimpses of it since I was running for my life when I was in its lair. It looked like 2 bats with a cat riding on top of it. I could tell right away that the cat thing on top was my target. As soon as I saw Catbat, the platform I was on started collapsing. It dropped me into the water below. I climbed out, stood on a nearby platform, and waited for Catbat to make its move. It pushed a huge wave at me, so I jumped on top of it and did some surfing. Not wasting any time, I jumped the wave and hit Catbat on its head. I wasn't happy with that, so I kept it up. Catbat started to drop mines into the water that were hard to dodge, but hey, Catbat was not going to stop me. I'm a Wario. Finally, one of the bats seemed to fall off. The remaining creature was getting serious about doing me in. Used the wave to catch some air, then I landed on top of its head a few more times to finish it off. No more Catbats. Now I could go on to the next passage, the Topaz Passage. Topaz. This was it, the last passage before the Golden Pyramid. I couldn't jump on the frog to open the portal fast enough. 4 more areas to explore and I would be there. I wondered just how wealthy would I be after all of this. After all, I had already found a fortune in gems and other goodies. As I spun through the portal, I started laughing and screaming. I'm so rich! Yes! Of course, there's always a room for more. toy block tower. I arrived on the other side of the portal, ready for action. I smashed the first block I came to, then smashed through the smiley face block behind it. A triangle-shaped chunk of it fell onto the ground, and I picked it up and put it into a slot above the door. The door opened, and I went inside. I used the triangle block to open the next door, and grabbed my first gem fragment for the area. If it's all of this easy, I'd be done this in time for a lunch, I thought. Unfortunately, it wasn't all that easy. The first real puzzle I came to was a room with a cat-faced blocks, as well as blue blocks. Instinct paid off. I smashed the cat-faced ones, and the blue ones fell into place. Once the blue ones were out of the way, I noticed a weak spot near the door. I smashed it and squeezed inside the hole I made. Fun with blocks. The next gem fragment wasn't too tough to reach, but the other area I came to weren't so easy. There were a lot of passages that didn't exist until I picked the right combinations of blocks to smash. In one room, I had to smash the top and bottom blocks of a wall to get to a diamond. Then I ran and jumped down a long chute to collect more gems. One of the most unpleasant things was running around on fire. I was running along and saw something out of the corner of my eye. Whoosh! I was on fire. Of course, I hadn't been on the fire before, so I knew that I could smash most blocks while I burned. I burned my way through to another stash of gems and into the next room. Here, kitty kitty. Here, kitty kitty. I found the remaining gem fragments and was ready to leave. Still smoldering, literally, I entered a room with several cat-faced blocks inside. I was ready to bash away and destroy them all, but then I saw a gleam of light coming from behind one of them. Destroy all the blocks or leave one block alone? Well, magic coin, show me where we're going. That didn't look good. Flip! Well, that landed on Polar Bear, so we will destroy all the blocks! Wah! Wario is bad at video games. Toad ho! When I entered the room, I saw the exit frog sitting on his platform. Got to run, frog, I said as I pounced on his head. The key was behind me, but I had to smash two of the blocks nearby to reach it. Once I had the key, I was off to the races. I drove into a nearby pipe and kept smashing my way deeper. Until I finally reached the bottom, I saw the way out, another pipe. I had to be the one that led to the portal. I climbed in and followed the pipe all the way to the portal. I love being right. Wahaha. When I climbed out of the pipe, I dusted myself off and strolled through the portal much richer than I had arrived. Big board. When I arrived back in the ruins, I headed off for more adventure. Only 3 areas separated me from my big prize, and I wasn't about to stop for now. Once I was through the vortex, I entered a room with numbered blocks. Uh-oh, I said. Math was never my strong point, so this sort of puzzle even puzzled a genius like me. My guess was that I had to have one number on all of the blocks in order to get by. I chose 6 because it was the highest number. I learned through trial and error that if I jumped off when the block had a 5 on it, then it would roll a 6. Once I had them all on 6, I could continue. More puzzles. It's not enough that I have to beat all of the enemies I find, is it? Now I have to solve all of these stupid number puzzles. I'm very intelligent, so I just decided the solution to most of them was a 6. That made my life easier. Wario is number 1. Except in this instance, in which he is number 6. I came into a room with a bunch of cart rides. Yeah, it is. It is in fact true. That is in fact useful, QWERTY. These little guys, I came to a room with a bunch of cart riders in it. These little guys were a pain. Managed to knock them out of my way, jumped down and smashed through the floor below. This revealed a pipe, so I climbed inside to check it out. Pipe Dream. In the room on the other side of the pipe, there were more on the cart riders below me. When I was looking at them, a crystal almost fell on my head. I picked it up, looking for whoever threw it, but I didn't see anyone. "Stupid crystal!" I shouted. Then I chucked it across the room. I must have the magic touch, because the crystal busted through all of the blocks. I could see a chest on the other side, but I had to bounce off the cart riders' heads to get there. Once I had the loot, I left through another pipe and found another gem fragment. Number Mania! Have I mentioned how much I love numbers? My favorite is the number that goes up. I really do. How else could I account my treasure? Oh no, he actually did say that basically. Though the numbers in this maze were starting to annoy me. As I explored, I came across another number block. This time, I could see that it had been turned before, and it looked like 5 was the correct number. I set it to a 5, smashed through, and then slammed the ground to score a diamond. I went back and messed with that number block and made the mistake of setting it to a 4. Wham! This huge piston flattened me. In my new, thinner form, I squeezed through a crawl space and found more gems and other goodies. Back to the ruins. Several number puzzles later, I finally found all the gem fragments and the frog I needed to get home. I was more than ready to get out of here, but first, I made sure that I had to collect all of the gems I could by killing any remaining creatures and smashing all the blocks I could. Once I was ready, I jumped on the frog and made my way back to the original portal to return to the ruins. 67. Shopping Spree. Once I was back to the ruins. I took a short break. I looked around and saw another small store, so I decided to do a little shopping. I spent some money playing a few cool games. Besides, these games give you cash when you win, and that's awesome! When I had enough fun, it was time for serious business. I went back to the frog and took on the next 2 areas. Because both of them were tough, but loaded with loot. Finally, I faced the last of the 4 doors before me, before the Golden Pyramid. It had Erodent carved on it. I had no idea what an Erodent was, but I was about to find out. 52. Erodent, which is actually a pretty good pun, if we're being honest. Now, I told you before that some of the monsters that I faced were a bit strange. This one is by far the granddaddy of weirdness. Ever seen a rat riding a giant inflatable teddy bear? No? Well, I have. Meanwhile, the teddy started floating up in the air. Anyway, the teddy bear started floating up in the air, then began dropping these spiked parachute guys. I know better than to wait for pain to come to me. I brought the pain to them instead. I'm Wario, the Destroyer! As soon as I could, I jumped onto their heads to neutralize them. This left a bunch of sharp spikes on the ground. Inflatable bear. Spikes. I had an idea. I grabbed the spike and threw it straight at the bear's belly. Pop! The bear began falling towards me, so I moved out of the way fast. When the bear got low enough, its feet started flashing, and I dashed and jumped into them, which knocked the bear over onto its side. Now I could get to the rat that was riding it. I pounded him several times from the side before he got the bear back in the air. It was all over after that. Oh, the rat tried giving me a hot foot by tossing fire at me, but I was able to dodge it. I just repeated the attack until Erodent was history. That brings us to the Golden Pyramid. We're almost done. Look, I've seen some speedruns of Wario Land 4. We're making pretty good fucking time on this speedrun that I'm doing. Because spoilers, this is actually a speedrun. The last of the 4 bosses was history. I danced a happy little dance while the Golden Pyramid rose before me. This is true, Wario does a very happy little dance. He's got He's got tiny little legs, so it's super cute, actually. This was it. I was about to be the wealthiest man on the planet. Into the final path, destined to become a legend. Speed freak. As soon as I entered the Golden Pyramid, I realized something was wrong. I was standing on something soft and squishy. Ribbit, I heard from under my feet. I was standing on the exit frog. That meant I had already started the countdown to the exit. There was no time to waste. I had to get through here fast or lose everything I picked up. I blew through this area like the fastest man on Earth. Along the way, I was turned into a zombie and a bat. I was flattened, frozen, and just about everything else. I didn't have time to explore in detail, so I'm sure I missed some treasure. That didn't matter much, because once I had got through there, I was ready to face the ultimate boss, the Golden Diva. The Golden Diva, the final boss of Wario Land 4. Here I was, the final conflict, the big battle, it was for all the marbles, and the gems and the diamonds. The Golden Pyramid opened up, and there she was, the Golden Diva. She was the one who had imprisoned Princess Sakura long ago. I'm not sure what the Golden Diva used to be, but time and her greed had turned her into a monster. Her live porcelain heads leered at me as she taunted me and attacked. Her heads came down to my level, but I didn't wait to see what she was up to. I jumped on top of them, which smashed them into the ground. I picked up one of the heads and threw it into the fan she was carrying. I repeated this with her other heads, and she was in serious pain. Next, the diva dropped a green spiky thing. I jumped on top of it to knock it down. Then I picked up and waited until she was just above me to let it fly into her stomach. I could tell it was hurting her because her face became angrier. The next trick she used was a teddy bear and a glowing ball. I couldn't pick it up, so I bounced the ball off the walls until it hit her. Ouch! This had to hurt. It started dropping black eggs and exploded on impact. I managed to catch one, but it took several tries before I could hit her in the head with one. It's basically fighting messed up versions of all of the bosses. That's neat, actually. Then she dropped the hammer on me. A huge mallet fell from her, and I almost flattened me. I dodged it, but wondered if being a spring would be a good plan at this point. I decided it was, so I threw the hammer into the air, ducked down, and waited for it to hit me. I was instantly turned into a spring, and I sprung up into her stomach as soon as she was over me. This went on for a while, with all the attacks coming faster and faster, until she changed forms into a sad-faced creature that began bombing me and knocking huge holes into the ground. I kept dodging. When I saw an opening, I dashed in and jumped up to hit her in the head. After a few direct hits, she exploded, showering gems and other goodies all over me. When the shower cleared, I saw a pair of lips twitching on the ground. I smashed them, and the reign of the Golden Diva was over. Are you impressed? You should be. Wario is the man! Never forget it! The end. Well, that's time. It was an hour and 12 minutes and 10 seconds to beat Wario Land 4. I think that's pretty impressive. I don't actually remember what the fastest Wario Land 4 speed time is. I should have actually put a clock on screen. That would have been a really good one, actually. But, yeah. Happy April 1st, everybody. I hope you enjoyed playing Wario Land 4, the Choose Your Own Adventure book that I had as a child, that I just thought it would be funny to do this, because, like, the secret... Here's the secret. I fucking hate Wario Land 4. I do not like this game. But I had this book, and this book was amusing as a child. This person's also wrote one for Super Mario Land. which, to be clear, is Super Mario World Advanced 3, 2, 1 Doki Doki Panic. That one. It's the one where it is Doki Doki Panic. I never owned that one, but I also owned the Oracle of Ages and the Oracle of Seasons books, because he also did one for those games. And I will not be doing this again because it took me like 2 hours to scan all of these pages. And also, those are good games. So I don't want to play them by doing this. That all being said, I do hope you enjoyed this when you watch it. Or if you watched it live. I very much appreciate it. This was a silly idea, and I just thought it would be fun. But yeah, let's see if there's anybody to raid over to. Mecha GM has started doing some Super Robot Wars 5. That sounds fun. Let's go look at Super Robot Wars. But yeah, thank you all for watching, everybody. Next time, we will, on Thursday, be returning to Boktai. Thank you all very much, and have a lovely rest of your day.